I had to. So it's one of the things that Sim Update 5 did that I didn't realize until yesterday was that they have completely redone all of the AI UV mapping, like completely.
Huh.
So none of my AI livery packs that I'd released, none of them worked anymore. I was like,
Oh, jeez.
it's like, really, really, Asobo? Fuck you. I'm
Don't they
just
put this
so
in
annoyed.
the
And
release
then
notes, or
exactly,
is
and
that like
it
one
was
of
like, why
these
is
surprise?
that's one of the surprises. It's like, surprise! And it's like, why?
Jesus.
It's like, I'm like, because I went back through the release notes and went, did I just miss it in the release notes? Because
Right.
I read the release notes and checked most of my liveries and went, okay, there's nothing major wrong. A couple of small things here and there, like the, oh, fuck, what do you call them? Like the images, the preview images, like they
Mm.
weren't loading properly for a couple of aircraft.
Huh.
But it's stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Oh, I
Um,
see you there. I think
okay.
that's you driving
Yeah,
towards me.
I'm possibly
Yeah, it looks like it.
runway 28. Okay, yes, 28.
Are
Yeah,
you
I'm
in the
taxiing
same
towards
livery
28.
as I am?
I should be.
Okay, then it's you. All right, let me get power.
Caution, low oil pressure.
Caution, low oil pressure. Yeah, I don't care about no oil pressure. The plane is
So,
off. Of course, there's no oil pressure.
so what's funny is that I don't see you. If that's okay, so this is something I've noticed is that I actually can't see you.
Really?
Hmm.
Oh, I just saw you for a
Or
second, but I think you may be heading the wrong way now.
okay. Yes, I am. Okay, okay, in that case, that's definitely not you then. So let me. Okay, I'm running it to.
Okay, you are heading towards the runway, correct?
Correct. I am now.
Hang a
Yes,
left.
and I'm about to turn left. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So directly ahead of you on the far side of the airport should be me. If you're taking that taxiway, you're gonna drive right past me.
Okay. Taking the taxiway.
All right. Where's the fuels? Okay, fuel's already on, which is odd. Don't they usually have the fuel selector switches off?
That's yeah. So that was another thing that I noted in the review video. Is the fuel selector is defaults as on. Also, park brake is not default set to on.
Oh,
So
good
when
thing
I
you told
loaded
me
in at
that.
Misty Moorings, when I loaded in Misty Moorings, I was rolling down the hill.
Nice.
And I was like, well, that's awkward. It's like,
All
all right.
right. Let's see.
Yeah, I
Mixers in,
totally
prop
did not
pitches
see you.
in. I have visual on you. You're actually about to pass me. I should be at your 10 o'clock right now.
Okay, yeah, nothing. I see a
Yeah,
fuel truck and that's it.
I'm also recording this, so I see you. Oh, you know what? I wonder if we need to be grouped.
We shouldn't need to be grouped, but this is something that I've. Oh, wait, there you go. You just snapped in for me.
Yeah, you should have
You
been,
just
or
snapped
you
in.
just went right past me, I guess. All
Yep.
right, let me start this bird up.
So that's something interesting that I've noticed is that since Xbox has come online, the way the multiplayer is working is like you're on the same server, but it does this instancing now. So to try and minimize how many people get seen at one time, it does this instancing where if you're I don't want to say if I don't know whether you're like geographic. I don't know how they're managing it, but it's happened at it happens every time I've done a live stream because as you know, I do an open live stream. People can come in and fly
Right, right.
with me, and where I've sort of seen people load in with me, and then like okay, it's like okay, cool, and then they'll disappear on me, or
Huh.
people will say, hey, I can see you over, and I'm like, I can't see you. And it's really interesting. But then, a few seconds later, a few minutes later, they'll pop in for me. And then they'll pop out and pop back in. Like, for example, right now, you've popped back out again. Like, I can't see you anymore.
And this entire time, I have been able to see you. Like, I see you at the end of the runway right now. I just started up,
Yep.
so I'm about to head out that way
Yeah, and it's
with
really
my
interesting
door
to it because
open.
it's not consistent.
No, it's definitely not.
And
One thing I have noticed though, if you are in a group with someone, because when Jose and I tried this the other day with the Husky, we noticed that if we weren't grouped together, it would do exactly what you're saying. But
You
once
group
you're
up, then
grouped
it
together,
will.
it definitely shows you.
Right.
So I guess that
So
gives priority to those people.
yes. Yep.
Okay.
It would do is say, okay, if I'm grouped with you, therefore always maintain connection with that person as long as they're online. The problem with grouping though is it means that if you, in the cases of when I live stream, for example, because that then shuts you out from the rest of the multiplayer environment.
That's true.
So it would be great if we wanted to do like a 3 Grumpy Simmers flight or something.
Yeah,
where we just
yeah.
shoot the shit and do crazy stuff. Then we just group together because we're then invisible to everybody outside of the group. Actually, can we group up now?
You should be able to. You want to try it?
Yeah.
I'm currently in the ATC menu, but I'll be out in a moment.
Alright. So I just sent a group
November
invite to
70
you.
Alpha Golf Bravo with Whiskey request taxi to the active departing straight out.
I'm just waiting for confirmation from ATC. I don't know why.
I don't use no stinking ATC.
Taxi to and hold short runway 28 via
I kind of
taxiway
like
Bravo
the
Alpha
old
Golf Bravo.
FSX way where you could mute your own pilot voice, because that used to get people all the time on my videos. They would be like, how did you interact with the ATC so seamlessly? And they don't realize that all I did was simply mute the pilot voice and go on about my business.
Can't we do that? I thought we could do that.
No,
I thought that was one of
believe
the
me,
options.
I've checked.
Oh.
I have not been able to find it. All right, I have accepted the group invite, and I still see
Boom,
you.
and you snap straight in for me.
All right.
As soon as I got the
that
notification that you joined the group, you snapped in. And you now snapped in the correct livery because previously you were in a different livery.
Ah, see, I guess it probably knows I have a predilection for this particular livery, so it shows everybody in the Husky in that livery, unless they're in floats or something.
It just, it just knows that we like redheads,
Yeah. Can't get enough. All right, where the hell is the taxiway here? Damn it, Sergio, when you gave us this ICAO code, you should have given us the airport charts as well. Slackers.
Slack, how dare he?
There's somebody coming in behind you. Is that an airliner? I don't know.
I got an
yes, it is.
airliner, so that's an EJU 4491 coming in from LFLL, so that's somewhere in France.
Oh, that's a big
bird. Eurowings, that'll be Eurowings that just landed.
I saw a big bird. Okay, I am on the parallel taxiway, 8 o'clock. Well, 9 o'clock now.
Your eyes on? Got your eyes on. Ooh,
and ILS hold short. Okay, so yeah, I pretty much just set up a straight run, but I figure if we want, we can probably just follow the coastline. Do you want to head out first, or am I taking point?
You can take point on this one. I'm assuming I'll end up on your YouTube channel at some point.
Well, I guess it all depends. I am recording, but I don't know.
So I was looking around. I was looking around for the various liveries and whatever for this aircraft because I read somewhere that apparently the Canyon Wildlife Service uses 6 or 7 of these for game patrol. And so I was having a look and seeing if I could find some images of them, some liveries and whatever. But in that I ended up coming across a bunch in Europe, in Switzerland, that have spats on the undercarriage. Yep, fully enclosed spats. And I'm like,
holy crap,
that's cool. I want spats on my
yeah,
Husky.
No kidding. All right, let's see. Are there landing lights on this?
Right switch. Up is landing light, down is taxi.
Oh, that's why my switch is not working. It's a 3-way switch. All right, that's a fuel switch for the pump. Okay, well, that makes a mockery of my nifty little landing light switch if it won't come on, because it's a 3-way switch and it doesn't recognize positions. All right, set this on out. Good to go. All right, tower. I need to get out of here. Bye.
Bye.
Alpine 449er, 1 contact ground on 118.58.
Oh, seriously? That guy's still on the runway? They're telling me hold short.
Alpha Golf Bravo altimeter 29.
Oh, there we go.
7 wind 243 at 20. Departing straight out. Approved.
Okay.
Cleared for takeoff runway 28.
Cleared for takeoff runway 28.
Cleared for takeoff runway 28 Alpha Golf Bravo.
All right, here we go. I don't think we need flaps for this one. This looks like a fairly long runway.
Yeah.
118.5.
Yeah.
8 Alpine 449er 1.
Light up 2.
Okay. Did they fix the wind sock is the real question. I'm gonna line up on the left side here.
When I was flying in Misty Moorings, the windsock seems to be accurate.
Okay. What did they say? 240. This is runway 28. Okay, yeah, that looks like it might be the case. I think so. All right. Rolling out. No brakes down, throttles up, just rolling out. Oh, I love how quickly the tail.
I love how the tail just lifts. It's like a couple of seconds, and even without flaps, like 5 seconds and I was airborne.
Awesome. Oh my god, I love that. So, yeah, I'll give them props on this. They actually did do a pretty decent model on the flight model here.
This is why I was so frustrated with having to say don't get it, because it was like, this is like the best of the tail draggers, but it's the other stuff. Like, and it's funny enough, it's another bug that I found. So you've got 2 map lights on your above your left and above your right.
Oh yeah, yeah.
With a 2 position switch, red and white.
Mm-hmm.
They only have red. It only has red globes. Even if you set it to
Really?
white, it only shows a red light. And I'm like, really? Like
why even add it?
Like, you literally could have completely bamboozled us, and nobody would ever have known if you just not put the white position on the switch. I'm like, what?
So are we to assume Sergio is on this little strip of beach?
I'm thinking that he's on this little strip of beach along here somewhere. Yeah.
I'm gonna make a left-hand turn and just kind of check it all out. I love the water masking here in this little, I guess this is an intracoastal. I'm thinking in Florida terms, that's what we would call it down there, is an intracoastal. But man, yeah, that beach looks nice. Now I'm kind of jealous. Damn it, Sergio.
I'm very, as I said, like, if, you know, it's pissing me off the fact that I didn't get the, you know, Britain left the EU. Hopefully, if they see the light and they go back into the EU, then I'll be like, well, I'm just gonna then we're just gonna figure out how to get you there, and then we go. Or maybe we can actually get like a business. Maybe we can get like a business immigration pass where we start a business, we employ a couple of locals, and that's our ticket into the country. So I'm thinking that we start as I said, the 3 Grumpy Simmers bar.
Bar or coffee shop?
The 3 Grumpies, the 3 Grumpies Hacienda, where we sell coffee. We sell coffee, donuts, and bagels in the morning, and we sell sangria, scotch, and pizza and mead in the evening.
You know, I love that idea. That is a winning idea. All right, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to follow this little, I guess, barrier island chain. I don't even know what to call this. And then where it meets back up with the mainland and passes the airport, we'll come back around that way, pass the airport to the right, and then follow the coastline down to destination Lagos or Lagos. I don't know how they pronounce that. But then I don't know how to pronounce the one in Nigeria either. All right, what's my altitude? 400 feet. Nah, we're fine. Okay, now what is this up ahead? I don't know if this is the textures acting up or if this is a bing boo-boo, but the water looks kind of weird.
So I'm guessing that's it trying to sort of show where the salt and the salt water and fresh water meet. I'm guessing.
Okay, so that's a big.
Because I see this sort of wide. Yeah, this. Oh, actually, that's cloud. That didn't mask out. Because you can actually see where it's tried to mask the water maskings come in, but then the AI is a bit confused and then thought that the cloud was part of the.
Oh, I thought it was the
either that was part of
sand.
the surf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That does make sense. It's a little crappy, but it does make sense. The tech is not perfect, but then we kind of expected that going into it. It's all a learning process.
It's just like reading some of the comments and approving, and I've been declining so many comments lately and posts in the group lately because it's like all these people, and I'm like, you seem to be expecting that for $100 you're getting a sim that is 100% correct, perfect, everything. I'm like, there are multi-million-dollar sims that are not correct.
Yep.
Like, what the fuck do you think a $100 one is going to be better than them? Like, the fuck? Like, in many ways, it is, but it's like, I look at these people and I'm like, I try to reason with them, and then it's like, nope, okay.
It's gotten to the point where I will answer legitimate questions. Like, I'm having a problem with the sim. I have looked. I have not found the answer. Can anyone please help me? Those I tend to gravitate towards because 9 times out of 10 it's something I've already had and I actually do know how to solve them. And usually it's something as simple as reboot your PC. But my absolute favorite ones are the ones that are like, oh, we paid $100 for a beta. Clearly, you've never been in DCS or anything like that. Because if you were, you would at least understand the difference. I'm like, what the hell do you expect? This is a whole new model. Gone are the days of, Star Wars Galaxies and games like that, or WoW when it first came out, where, when you get the game is essentially done, even though it's not really done, because obviously you have DLC and everything that you need to add to it. But you're getting a finished package, and that's basically it. Those days are gone. And even back then, we were starting to migrate towards this thing where it was a living, evolving environment. We saw that throughout the life of all of the early MMOs. The areas that we got at launch were not the areas that were, necessarily still the only places that you could go to after the fact. They added all different continents or whatever you want to call them, scenery packages, whatever the term is for that. But people tend to forget that this hobby, this particular genre of gaming that we're in, is pretty dynamic. It should be expected to change. Granted, the core experience should still be the same, if not improved upon, which, to their credit, they're working on that. I can honestly say I've gotten better performance in VR from Sim Update 5, starting with the first hotfix. Of course, we're on a second hotfix now, and it's still excellent performance. I'm not getting any judder or any of that. Typically in VR, my off to the side, if your FPS is low, you'll get these black bars that keep popping in and out. Sometimes it'll appear on videos whenever they record through like the Oculus mirror and stuff like that. I don't have those at all, which tells me that my FPS is actually really stable, because if it were not, I would not be having this experience. Basically everything would be like black bars and whatnot. So people that are always complaining about, this is a beta or whatnot, they really need to understand a lot of the work that's gone into this. We don't expect this to be the same sim in 10 years' time. And it is a 10-year plan, basically.
But I'm an airline captain with 10,000 hours in the flight.
Oh my god! An expert, huh?
And that's actually something as well. Is that I saw some guy who was flat out telling me that the default FSX aircraft, especially
I'm gonna make a left
airliners,
here.
are better than the Asobo ones.
Wait, what?
Yep. He flat out was like, nope, the default FSX aircraft are superior to the default aircraft in this sim. And I'm like, I
On
just looked
which
at this guy,
planet?
I'm just like, are you fucking kidding? Where? What the fuck? And it's like, oh, the navigation data was so much better. It was frozen in time, but it was so much better. I'm like,
It's the same
are you
freaking navigation
fucking kidding
data.
me? It's like Prepared V5 is still using navigation data from 2005. No, that is not okay. And you're coughing up to, well, he's one of those people who would not be coughing up the correct license. He would undoubtedly be using the $60 license.
More
But
than
it's like,
likely, yeah. That's usually the case whenever you get that.
I just look at these people and I'm just like, what the fuck? Yeah, okay. Is this...
Oh,
you know,
that's
is
neat.
this
There's a
100%
little
correct?
house on
No.
this strip of land right here. Surrounded by water, little tiny strip of land and a narrow house sitting on top. That doesn't look right. I hate to see what happens if it floods.
Mhm. And I just all this stuff, and I just look at these people, and I'm just like, how? What? How? How are you? I give up. And at those points, I just go, I just can't deal with you people anymore, and it's just it makes helping these people so hard because it's like, and like you, Sim Update 5 for me, the only snag that I had was that thing with that quirk with the control, the click to interact thing. But again,
the lock
looking
mode,
in the menu
legacy
for
mode?
5, looking in the menu for 5 minutes, I figured it out at the same time that you posted about it, and I was like, oh, that's all it is. Cool, done.
What gets
And
me is here it is.
from
It's what,
my-
a week and a half, almost 2 weeks later, and it's still tripping people up. How many millions of posts have we seen on this thing online?
And it's just people just don't want to help themselves now, and everybody I see complaining, Sim Update 5 ruined everything, it's crap, the sim is rubbish now, and all these people are but they need to stop playing with Xbox, and it's like, it's the same title on both, guys. It's yes, okay, so help yourself for a start. There's the first thing. Help yourself. Secondly, and I hate to be the one person who points it out, but all the issues I keep seeing come out, they're all issues with people who, one, fly airliners, first off, and two, are using third-party content to use the airline experience. So I saw somebody tonight posted about, I always get a crash to desktop whenever I load a flight plan. I'm like, well, I'm loading flight plans all the time, and I don't have.
I think I saw that one.
Did a flight plan. And I actually even flew a tube liner flight just to see, because I'm not having any of these issues with scenery and terrain and all this other stuff everybody else is complaining about. But I flew a tube liner flight the other night just to be like, okay, what's their experience like? And I go, you know what? There are some valid concerns they have. The winds aloft data is fucked because you get up to 32,000 feet and it's 38 degrees Celsius outside.
Positive. That's a little
38
spicy.
degrees Celsius.
Apparently we're having a solar flare.
Apparently. And it's like, yeah, okay, that's not going to work for you. And that means you're going to have shit climb rates and shit performance. I'm like, okay, you have a valid point for that. I will happily acknowledge that now. But then it's all this other, like, oh, the flight planning shit. It's like, well, the flight planning's working for me fine for airliners. It's fucked for GA, though it looks like Hotfix 2 has actually fixed that.
Now, what problem has everybody been having with flight planning? Because, I mean, I graduated from the FSX School of Flight Planning. Put in your departure, put in your destination, put in interesting sounding waypoints or VORs in the middle. That's it. What issues are they having with that?
So what it's been doing is it's been throwing in an extra random additional waypoint called time to climb.
Oh, you know, I have seen that. Yeah, I thought that was just like top of descent or whatever.
And which exactly, that's what it's supposed to be. That's exactly what it's supposed to be. It's like top of climb or top of descent. But I think it's supposed to be top of climb. But what it does is that it puts it at where your top of descent would be, and then when you load into the sim, it moves your active leg to that leg.
Oh, that's always lovely. Huh.
So that's fucked. And it does look like potentially that hotfix 2 might have corrected that. I'm actually just going to quickly have a look at my flight plan now, actually.
I was going to say, we can probably see that on this little teeny GPS here. Let me just make sure I'm trimmed out. All right, so we're passing the airport heading west, so almost lined up.
Yeah, it looks. So it's got this time vert one that it adds in.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see that.
vertical.
I see that. Yeah.
So what you have to do is you have to delete that. You have to select and delete that waypoint manually in the sim. But the problem is that pre-hotfix 2, you couldn't select it to delete it.
Okay.
And you couldn't even move it in the sequence. So it made doing GPS nav, unless you were an airliner, impossible, because it didn't do it to the A320 or the 747. It would only be a problem for people who are not using FMSs.
Okay. Yeah, that is a little odd that that's in there. I mean, I can understand the theory behind it, but I think their coding might be a little off.
I 100% agree with the theory behind it, and it's actually a good automated thing, and I can actually see it as something that would be done automatically if you programmed in a flight plan with an altitude into a Garmin. But it's the implementation of it, the fact that it kicks you, that's the active leg. And it's like,
right.
Yeah, that's not cool. So I've been seeing issues with that. It seems that since hotfix 2, it's still appearing, but it's no longer. You can now either delete it or you can change the active legs and stuff like that again, finally. So there's that. That's sort of the thing with that one at the moment. So I find it annoying, but it's still it's
not a complete
again now.
Game breaker though.
Yeah, exactly. But what was interesting is that when I did this airliner flight, it calculated so I told it to do the full SID, stars, airways, the whole 9 yards, and I set the AP going, and it flew the whole thing. So it looks like that the issue of it skipping to that sequence of the flight plan only affects aircraft that don't have a FMC.
Okay.
So it's to do with however it's coding for that. So that was interesting, an interesting thing to note. But yeah, it does what it does. So it's annoying, but you can work around it. And then, as I was saying, there's something posted about, the crucial thing. It's like, okay, well, what are you using? It's like, I flew a flight using this hotfix, using full SID, stars, approach plates, the whole 9 yards, and it didn't have an issue, didn't load. And it's like, what are you using to load your thing? Oh, SimBrief. I said, well, it's probably a malformed XML from SimBrief. It's straight up. Like, I've loaded malformed XMLs for flight plans in before because I was fucking around with the tool. This is actually I haven't done it for the MSFS, but I did it for Flight Sim World. I did malformed XMLs, and it would cause a crash to desktop every time. It's like, so I'm looking at it going, that your issue's that, dude. Like, your issue's not the sim update this time around. It is the software that you're using is not supporting it yet.
Now, see, here's my big thing. At least with SimBrief, I've used SimBrief before. Obviously, way back when it first was introduced. That was around the same time that I was still in the virtual airline. So, I would always tell my guys, use SimBrief, makes life a ton easier. Back then, all we had was like FSX, FS9. I'm not sure that with this sim, there is still much of a need for SimBrief. I can see maybe for the airliner guys that want to look at the, all the fancy little charts and everything that comes with it. But for the actual flight plan, at least from what I've been able to see, it looks like you can do pretty much everything in the sim, except, of course, your fuel planning. But I mean, common sense, you can probably calculate what your fuel is going to be anyway. So I'm not sure I still understand the heavy reliance on it.
Have you met our community and common sense? Have you met our community?
Well, yeah, this is true. But I just don't get it. I don't know. Either that, or I'm getting old, I'm getting grumpy, and I just don't have time for all of that, quote-unquote, by the books, fictitious stuff. I just want to fly. I just want to fly.
If I want to role play and do all that shit, you know what? I'll go down the Aero Club and I'll actually go out and fly. I'll actually go back and finish off my RPLs and stuff. Like, I want to fly and explore the world. I don't
I agree
never
with you.
wanted to do the airline thing. It's like I don't. I want to do things, and the people like the real pilots I know that fly in the sim, they do this. They fly in the sim to do the things that they can't do on their
Right.
on their
Right.
own jobs. It's like they do
The
not use this for
shenanigans.
training. They use this for the shit that they can't do when they're flying the line. So there's there's one guy that I used to fly with. He's an FO on a CRJ 700.
Mhm.
And he's just like, yeah, I fly in the sim to do all the shit that I'm not allowed to do that'd get me like grounded for life. So yeah, I'm like, fair enough.
Virtual
Like, yeah,
FAA has a number for you. You might want to write this down.
pretty much.
All right, what is
but
up
yeah,
with
and he got the Aerosoft. He got the Aerosoft CRJ, and he loved it, and he thinks it's great. But he said, I also use it to go like inverted underneath bridges because I can't do that IRL. I'm like, well, there you go.
See, that guy right
Oh,
there
I
is
see.
my hero. That's what you use a flight simulator for.
Exactly.
And you know what's funny? When we had done that one Three Grumpy Simmers episode, we were talking about the Xbox and the ramifications of it coming to the thing. So one of the examples that I used of it not just being kids gaming. There is a guy, I don't know him personally, but my buddy Jose, the ATC in Miami, he knows him personally. So the guy is an F-16 pilot out of Homestead, right? Homestead Air Reserve Base. He was asking Jose about the sim because he wanted to get the Xbox version just so that he could do exactly like he said, all the stuff that normally would get him court-martialed. And I'm finding more and more that's the case with, the real life pilots. They already do this as a job where they're, by the books and checking fuel weights and all of that crap. They just want to get back into it just to remember what it's like to just fly. And it reminds me greatly of when I was a musician, because sometimes you would get so bogged down in playing the gig, doing this and doing that, that it became a chore. It became work. And especially if you were like a studio or session musician, you'd be clocking in and clocking out like it was an actual job. You get in there, you lay down your tracks, you're sitting there for hours with the engineer trying to make sure everything is all kosher. By the end of the day, you go home and it's like you're ready for a beer, as if you just walked off the assembly line, doing an assembly job. And that's why back then what I used to do is I always had like a little side project. I would always be involved in one side project that was just like a chill thing. No pressure. We're just there to jam. If anything comes of it, anything comes of it. Otherwise, we're just there to play music, to remember what the fun of being a musician is. And that's the same thing that I see in this hobby. A lot of people take it way too seriously. Meanwhile, the guys that do this professionally have the totally opposite feeling about it. They want to just get back to the fun of it and not have to worry about filing PIREPs or whatever. And it's just crazy, the dichotomy there between the two types of aviators that do this. I don't know.
And as I said, the people, and as I said, if all the people that take this way, you have to, it's absolutely right. Like, people take it way too fucking seriously, and if they knew what real pilots think of most of these people that do this, their poor fragile male egos would not last. Like I was in a meeting with a wing commander, and we were talking about the literally multi-million-dollar sim that we have, and he's just and we're talking about it because we're setting up something for it, and he just goes, "Oh yeah, it's pretty good computer game, isn't it?" he's talking about a multi-million-dollar mission simulator, and I've just gone to it and I said, and I've literally looked at him and gone, yeah, it's not bad. And the funny thing is that having flown it myself, he's dead right. It is. It's a fucking game. But and people are gonna say, "Oh, it didn't." Like, just if I ever said this publicly, people are like, "Oh, you can't say that." It's like, no, it's a fucking game. I said, I'll be honest. The visual fidelity if MSFS of your $100 desktop sim
Mhm.
of your desktop game is better than the multi-million-dollar sim that I work with.
Oh, absolutely.
However, there are a lot of things in terms of sensors that this will never do that
Right.
does do. But so it's things like that. It's like like I look at I work with beside the team that does all the scenery and the out the window view, like the outside world that goes into that sim. So when they do a building, for example, the building doesn't get done once; it gets done 6 times because you've got to do the visual model, then you've got to do the night visual model,
Oh,
then
geez.
you've got to do it at all the different sensors that an aircraft or a allied aircraft might be using to paint it with, and how it reacts.
So
under
ground
those
radar,
materials.
flare, all of that stuff.
Yep, all that stuff.
That is crazy.
And it's like, yeah, and it was actually really really funny because they looked over my shoulder when I was doing, because we use Prepared as part of as some of the ground schooling. We use Prepared for just, and again, Prepared is not used as a flight sim. Like I love the ones that people say, oh, Prepared is used as a flight simulator for flight training.
Yeah,
I believe me,
that gets old.
I'm on my third project using Prepared, and not once is it used for flight training. Not once. Yes, it trains pilots, but it is not taught them how. It does not teach them. It is not used to teach them how to fly the aeroplane. In fact, it is expressly not used for that purpose.
Wow.
It is expressly not. Is forbidden to be used for that purpose. Instead, it is used for procedural training and cockpit familiarization. That's it.
See, that would make sense. That would make sense.
Because and especially on modern aircraft with glass cockpits or whatever, you're looking at a computer screen. So it's designed to get them to how they interact with, and when a certain flashing light goes off, what are the next 3 things they've got to pull? Like, that's what it's there to teach them. It is not to teach them how to fly. Expressly not, because guess what? It doesn't fly like the real thing, and you can't make it.
Well, there's
And
a shocker.
And there's somebody who has stick time in actual airframes that I've trained pilots with. It's like, and it's really funny actually, because with the F-35, so most work is doing the ground training, the procedural training component, Prepared. But I also do get to play in the FMS from time to time, the multi-million-dollar, the big daddy sim.
Right.
And the first thing that I noticed was that I completely understand why they say do not use desktop trainers for flight training, is because something as simple as, like, I knew how to interface with the aircraft, how to interface with the PCD, I knew all that, but I couldn't get my speed right because the travel on the throttle was completely different.
Yeah, there's no real way to replicate that for the average user, because the way that the hardware is designed for us. I mean, I don't even think someone like Virpil, which, obviously I'm using Virpil products right now, and as phenomenal as they are, I'm pretty sure this Tomcat stick in my right hand does not have the same throw or feel as the real thing did back when the Cat was flying for the U.S. Navy. So I get that.
I'm sure it's a like a 3D model accurate, but
it
doesn't have the same feel.
Is.
No.
So I totally understand that. It does make a lot of sense, and it's definitely a source of frustration as far as what we have to deal with, in particular as admins, and some of the attitudes that people tend to get. It's almost like they need a little bit of humble pie, really.
Yes. Yeah.
Because half the time they have no idea what the hell they're even saying.
And that's where, it's just the patience gets worn thin and all the rest of it. And it's just like, it's like some guy, and the sheer self-entitledism and the, it's like, I can promote everything. And it's like,
Yeah, no.
It's like, no. I do love how the Black Shark AI tries to like follow the shape of the building it detects from the photo reel by just melding together or like changing the shape of the, like, it says, right, this is a roof, this is a wall, this is a building, this building has this really weird shape, so I'm just going to stretch these walls and then make it into a building. Like,
Pretty much. I'm like,
it's like,
no,
it's
no.
fascinating.
Although I will say this, I've only ever flown Portugal as far as like the Azores, which I, if I recall correctly, that is a Portuguese, I don't know, island,
It's
archipelago,
yep,
whatever.
yep.
But I've never actually seen mainland Portugal, and this actually does overall look pretty good. The trees
Yeah,
look, Mediterranean looking or whatever you would call that.
it's
The
got a very
texture is
feel
okay.
to like, it's got a very feel of like Southern California.
Yeah, yeah, it does have that. Definitely does have that. The resorts, yeah, obviously you can tell where things have been skimped. I mean, like pools going, sloping down the hill, such as the one that I'm looking at right now. There's still
Oh,
some
wait.
issues
The,
there.
but I look at that and go, okay, so where's the and that's the fascinating thing I have though is I'd love to know where they're getting the geospatial data from for the terrain mesh.
Right.
Because obviously they're not like you can tell where places like, I think in places like Alaska and northern Canada and stuff, I think they're still using, honestly, I think they're still using shuttle data. To be honest, I think they're still using SRTM data.
You could be right,
Because
yes.
I was up there when I was up there flying for the Husky video. I was like, what? It's like you can tell the imagery is new, and the terrain elevation data is not, because I almost flew into a solid wall of water. I was like,
I mean,
well,
let's face it, it's still somewhat of a Frankenstein because we've got all these various sources which they may or may not have access to, and trying to piece all of that together to make one cohesive planet. Not gonna lie, that is a mammoth freaking job. So I can cut them some slack for some of this, and I'm glad that they at least have things like Black Shark AI because when it works like gangbusters. Look at this cluster of I'm assuming hotels or whatever up on that cliff there. That's a
yep,
prime example of what happens when it works right. But
yeah,
then you go a
that's
little
just
further down to that one that's got the circular pools, and it's like, what the hell is that? A prison?
like,
But yeah, it's a monumental task that they've got there, and I don't envy them. I really don't envy them. But for what it is, if you're just, flying past and not scrutinizing every
that's
single building as we tend to
that's
be right now.
that's that's the other thing is like looking at these people. I'm like, it's like, do you even know what you're like? You're flying at fucking 40,000 feet. Do you even know what's down there?
Right.
Uh,
Literally the only people that are going to pay attention are, people like us that do low and slow bush planes or helicopters, stuff like that. And honestly, half the time we're just looking to find out, well, where could we feasibly set this thing down in case of emergency or just plain old shenanigans. So yeah, I will give them a bit of a pass when it comes to, the housing designs and whatnot, because I think they capture the overall feel of wherever it is you're flying over. It's not 100%, but it's believable. It's a believable world, we'll put it that way. And that's funny
and
because
that's
that's a buzzword that Austin uses a lot for X-Plane.
and his sim is not. It's too green. I'm sorry.
Right. Right.
It's too green. Um, and that's really interesting. And as I said, like I was with one of the guys I was working with that works in the big sim. He was looking at my shoulder while I was doing some repair stuff, and he said, he looked at it and he said, because I'd done a shot of a downward approach, and he looked at it and he said, oh, so that's custom. Oh, so you borrowed our imagery for Williamtown. I said, nope. I said, that's geotypical, and he's gone, bullshit. And I said, nope, that's geotypical. So this guy that works in multi-million-dollar sims with their databases thinks that the default prepared / default FSX geotypical textures are amazing.
Wow. That in
So
and of
that
itself
puts it in
is
perspective. That
amazing.
puts it in perspective. And it's like, and I'm looking at it going, what the fuck, dude? Like, I'm trying to get them to cough up 10 grand so I can at least get some bloody Orbix textures in here. And it's like, and he's like, this is fucking better than what we got in the FMS. This is before I'd been in the FMS. And then I went to the FMS and went, I see now why you make them fly in basically almost overcast conditions all the fucking time whenever they're doing missions, because the textures are fucking shit.
Yep.
And it's like, well, okay.
Yeah, see that. And to me, something like this, what's been going on, because we hear a lot about, oh, this is a flight simulator, not a scenery simulator, blah, 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 blah. Ad
I love
nauseum.
that.
And I'm like, this to me is more ideal because I am a VFR flyer. Granted, I still haven't completed my license, and who knows when the hell that's going to happen. But that's how I was taught to fly. VFR.
The original,
looking at the
original
landmarks.
IFR,
I follow roads.
I follow-
Yeah, or I follow rivers, as the case may be, depending on where you're at.
Yep.
But yeah, this is exactly what I was hoping for in a flight sim. And I know it's only going to get better from here because, it's new emerging technology. It's still got a long ways to go. But yeah, this is the kind of stuff that really gets me going.
Now, this is now viable, is that you can now actually use this as a viable training tool for VFR.
Yeah.
Because you cannot use any of the legacy sims as a training tool, or even like a practice tool, or whatever you want to fucking call it, for VFR. You can't. You can use it for IFR, absolutely, because you can put a black box in and just use your instruments. That's fine. That'll work just as well. But VFR you can't. Like we just drove. We just flew past like a highway there. Like a road, and the trees were placed in the middle of the roundabout.
Oh, jeez.
Just like they are in real life. And that's the thing, is that I look at that and say, that's something that I'd look for, because
Look for the
if
roundabout.
I was told, if I was told, hey, I need to know where I'm going to go with Lagos Airfield, it's like, okay, well, when you get to this highway, when you see the roundabout there, like, you're going to be a couple miles away. I'll be like, okay, I can now see that road with the roundabout with the trees in the middle and go, right, that's where I need to be.
It'll still never get to the place. No, I agree with you. And it'll still never get to the place where, you can give Pittsburgh directions. Yeah, what you want to do is you want to go down the street and you want to hang a right over by where that giant eagle used to be. Then you go down that street a little bit more and you look for old Bessie the cow. She's not there now. She died back in '89. But yeah, landmarks
I was gonna say,
work.
I thought that was Jamaican navigation. Is that Pittsburgh
No,
navigation?
that is
as well,
Pittsburgh navigation. And I've always said, if you can navigate in Pittsburgh, you can navigate anywhere. Whenever you get a chance, fly around Pittsburgh, go like about maybe 2,000, 2,500 feet, and just go from the downtown area in a circle around the city. There is not a single street that goes straight north, straight south. In fact, you'll get confused within about 5 minutes as you see one road going one way and then it splits off into like 5 different roads. And it's not a highway.
So I thought Pittsburgh was navigation. Turn right at the third pothole.
Yeah, that too. All the roads have potholes. Every single one. They've got enough budget for salt in the winter, but guess what? Salt is what creates the potholes in the summer.
Yeah, salt creates potholes in the summer? Yeah. Apparently, Michigan transport haven't figured that one out yet either.
Oh, that's always
it's
lovely.
Like, oh dear.
I think this is our airport off to the right.
Yeah, it is indeed, because I'm going to have to put down here so I can call the better half.
Not a problem. Let me see. Runway for landing. Okay, 29.
We need to do this more. We need to do this more often, by the way. Just flying and shooting the shit.
Honestly, I would love to. It's just a matter of, like everything else, time.
Times. Well, that's why I was so I'm so happy today. So yeah, fun story is a colleague at work. He has COVID, so I'm a close contact. So I am now in full-fledged ISO for 14 days.
Oh, jeez.
I cannot leave my house, not even to go for a fucking run.
Wow. So they almost treat you like a leper down there. Holy crap.
Yeah, that's exactly how they treat us. Yeah, so if you're a close contact, even if you're not, even if I test, because I'm waiting on my test result at the moment, that even if that test comes negative because I was exposed, they're like, nope, you are still doing 14 days ISO, and I have to get tested at least twice more during that time.
That is nuts.
Um,
Now, do they at least
and I'm
have quick
like,
tests, or is it like here where you've got to wait, 5 years and whatever, give up your firstborn child before you even get the test results?
so that's the funny slash weird thing is that the test results have been, so I'm on my, I think, 8th or 9th COVID test now, so this is, not exactly a new thing for me, but this is the first time when I haven't, so we've got like an automated system where you go in, you get your test, and you text your phone number and and basically you get your results like 24, 48 hours later.
That's not
But
bad.
for some unknown reason, this time round, it's not accepting my request for results, which is not a good sign.
Yeah, that could be bad. That could be bad.
So I'm currently waiting on the phone call from the contact tracers at the moment.
Oh,
If I
getting
haven't
stalled one.
heard from them, by, and this is really interesting actually with this aircraft, because that if you do too high wing over, you will get the stall horn. You can very easily single wing stall this aircraft. Very easy to recover from as well, but
Well, I don't know. There's a video on Facebook that shows otherwise when I attempted to do what the helicopter guys call a pedal stop.
that didn't go
Let's
so well for you.
just say it didn't end very well in the middle of the North Carolina mountains there. And this is
Alright.
pretty much a carrier descent here, so I'm going to bounce all over the place. A little bit of
Yep,
crosswind
this is
going.
where we should have had the tundra tires for this one. Yeah, so I'm sort of like waiting at the moment to see what's going to happen with my results. Hopefully it should be soon, but if I haven't got results by sort of tomorrow, I'm going to try and request, stall warning going off. Oh, this is going to be rough. Oh,
I don't even know where the hell the runway ends. Oh, wait, nope. I see the turnaround. I see the turnaround. Question is, can I turn around? Yeah, we'll try it. Little grass never hurt the wheels. Hey, there you are. Looks like we made it. Holy crap, we made it.
nice.
It's a nice little pasture area too. I'm gonna go outside and take a look at it.
Yeah, so hopefully if I haven't heard from them fairly soon, I will sort of tomorrow afternoon, I will give them a call and be like, hey, so can I have my results now, please? Because that'd be swell.
Well, I sincerely hope it all goes well for you, but yeah, that does sound like a bit of a pain in the butt.
But, at least the test, I mean, for me, I'm not too worried. Like, I'm fully vaxxed, so I don't think I'll have too many issues.
I'll be honest with you, I
But
am not. And the reason why I am not is simply because I have not left the house. Period. Since March 2020, I have not left the house for like an extended period of time. I left to, I lie.
Amazon
I
groceries
left it
and
once because I had to take all the shit out of the storage space. But it's a storage space. There was no one in the building.
yeah, that doesn't count.
Right. I don't care if I'm on the grass here. I'm just gonna like push over. I mean, if it comes to it, yeah, I don't mind getting vaccinated and all of that stuff. But I'm not planning on traveling. And as far as work goes for the foreseeable future, we are working from home, which I am perfectly okay with because honestly, I've been begging to work from home since 5 years ago when I started with this company. So for me, this is actually ideal. So right now, I
Yeah,
just really don't see much of a need for it. I mean, eventually, I'm sure it'll come to it, and I have no problem getting it at that point in time. But I don't leave the house. That's just me, though.
hang on. Wait a second. I'm gonna have to hang on. I gotta reposition this aircraft.
Uh-oh.
We're gonna get. I got to get the nice screenshot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, unfortunately, like I was already. It's funny actually. You just told me. So I was already slated to do a week because we don't work from home much because, and that's mainly to, well, at least my section we don't, because there's, oh, hello fire truck. A lot of what I do can't be done from home. Which is unfortunate. But I mean, I'm used to working from home. Like I did it for several years, so I enjoy it. I actually find that I can get more done at home.
Totally. We're far more
So
efficient.
I can get more done at home in 5 hours than I can get done in an office in 9. So I'm just sort of like I don't. I acknowledge that it doesn't work for everybody. I absolutely acknowledge that because it doesn't. But yeah, for me, it can do. But as I said, a lot of my work I can't do. But I was going to be doing a week where I was going to be working from home anyway. So I was about to start that when we got the word in the through that I was in the middle of a brick set, and it was like, yeah, you all need to get a COVID test now. And I'm like, what? And then it was like, yeah, we've got, so one of the guys in the office, his kid was diagnosed, it was COVID positive, and he was just displaying symptoms. And it's like, and I'm one of the few people that's in the office all the time. So it's like, well, that means I'm exposed. So everybody who'd been in the office during the week had to get a test. And the funny thing is that I have been feeling a bit off. I'm hoping it's nothing, but you never know.
Well, I mean, they got that new variant and everything. Well, I don't know how new it is. For all we know, it's probably been around for a year.
It's been around for at least a few months. And it's sort of like, I mean, it is what it is at the end of the day. But the interesting thing is for me is that, as I said, I'm vaxxed, so it shouldn't get too bad for me. I'll probably just get a bit fluey and a bit if I do have it. But it's still so transmissible that even if you're, and this is the funny thing, I remember somebody saying to me, they're like, oh, once the vaccine comes out, you'll be able to travel. It's like, well, no. And it's the interesting thing about, and I know Sergio's traveling at the moment because he's vaccinated, and a lot of people are, but it's like, just because you're vaccinated doesn't mean...
It doesn't immediately give you a pass. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you can still get it. Like, if you're vaccinated against, hepatitis and MMR and all this, you can still get it. It's just, it doesn't kill you. That's the difference. And this is the same. You still get it. Like I get my flu shot every year because of, again, the kind of work that I do and the fact that I'm a diabetic, but I still got the flu. It didn't knock me around. It was like nothing special.
You want to hear something
it was just
funny?
like a normal common cold.
I don't get the flu. I've never had a flu shot.
So I've had
the
flu.
It's weird.
I've had the flu, like not just like a man flu, like the proper influenza virus. I've had that twice in my life. The first time I'd been vaccinated not long before, so I barely even noticed it. It only came up in a blood culture that I did for something else, and they're like, "Oh, by the way, did you know you had the flu? You have the flu?" I'm like, "Do I?" I was like, "Okay, it did for me." And then the 1 year I don't get my flu shot this year, I got it, and it fucking whacked me. Like, it floored me for nearly 2 weeks.
Jeez.
And like I was a mess, and it was like I was like, this COVID. I had 2 COVID tests during that because I was thinking, fuck, if I got COVID.
And they still came back negative at the time.
The COVID test was negative, but the influenza test, because they when I came back for the second one, they're like, okay, go and get an influenza test because you're right, I've got the symptoms, so go and get the actual influenza test. And I got that done, and they were like, oh yeah, you got the flu, you're fucked. And I was like, thanks.
That's just wild.
Hey, random question, can you open your door for me?
It is open.
Oh, it is open? Okay.
Yep.
So that's the one animation that doesn't get put across then.
Yeah.
So I see your flat
that's true.
change, but it's the one animation that doesn't get transmitted across multiplayer. That's a bit of a shame. All right, now let me get these.
Work in progress. As always, work in progress.
Two very handsome Cubs picture.
I am currently looking around the scenery. I figure this would make a good outro to my chill video here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like everything else, it is what it is. Am I happy with the state of the sim right now? Yeah, it can always improve, but they realized their errors and they are in the process of correcting. I say that because Hotfix 2 obviously did not fix everything. Some stuff has been slated for the World Update 6, which is supposed to come the end of this month anyway, so it's not like we're waiting that long, especially how quickly this year seems to be flying by. But yeah, overall, I still say that they did a pretty decent job. Now, I haven't had a lot of LOD issues like a lot of people are complaining about. I can actually see the trees on top of the mountains. I'm assuming this is to the west that I'm looking. I'm like way up in the air right now. But I can see the physicalized trees on top of the mountains. So, not sure what the issue is with LOD for some people. Maybe it has to do with the type of GPU that you're running. Maybe not. Who knows? I couldn't even tell you what kind of voodoo goes on under the hood with this sim. I just know, for me, it looks just as good, if not better, than it did prior to Sim Update 5. So it is what it is. Proof's in the pudding.
Yeah.
People are seeing it
So
on the screen.
yeah. And again, all the people complaining, again, all have one thing in common, or two things in common. One, they fly airliners, and two, they're self-entitled little shits. So, all right, I gotta go. The boss is awake, so I can.
No
But yeah, the
problem,
one thing
sir.
that I've achieved today, my first day of complete isolation, is I've got the Husky video recorded and edited, and I've got the Just Flight Turbo Arrow video recorded and halfway through editing.
That works.
And
That works.
yes, I'll get stuff out the door. All right, thanks,
Alrighty,
man.
sir.
Call you
Thanks for
later.
flying with me.
Ciao.
And Sergio, yes, we accept your offer. We would like to come to Portugal. Just find me a redhead over there.